All right, what's up, Mortgage Coach community and Trust Engine community? I am interviewing Joe Massey. Joe was introduced to me by Brian Hale, someone that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. That I interview every month. Every month this year, I've interviewed Brian on what's happening in the market and if you want to have a competitive edge, what you need to do. And he's like, Dave, you need to know Joe. You need to interview Joe. What he's doing in terms of turning regular folks into real estate investors and the way he has actually got a whole real estate investment playbook. So Joe, welcome to the Mortgage Coach Trust Engine community, my friend.
Thank you. I'm so grateful that you invited me on. So grateful for the time. I'm excited to chat with you, Dave. Really been looking forward to this. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I am too. By the way, before we get into business, I'm from Denver. I don't know if you knew that or not,
I didn't
but
know that. Cool.
yeah, I was born and raised, and I'm a Bronco fan. Are you a Bronco fan?
I am a big Bronco fan. My season tickets I've had for a number of years.
How heartbreaking was this week's game? I mean, I was
Oh,
literally watching it, and as they kicked it, I'm like ready to just like, yeah. And then
yeah.
it was all time most difficult loss, I thought.
I played football in college, and I remember my coach used to always say, no special teams play is guaranteed. No punt, no field goal, no punt return, no kickoff return. None of those are guaranteed. That is where you can make big swings in a game, and nothing has been more true than this past Sunday. I mean,
Oh,
special teams makes a big difference.
oh my gosh. And I also just I'm not a hater on the Chiefs, but I don't want we need to beat them.
They're
And
so
and
good. They're
and
so good.
they are so good. So all right. I had to just go there knowing you were from Denver. So since this is our first interview, tell everybody a little bit about your mortgage practice, maybe share what percentage of your volume is coming from investors, and then we'll unpack how all mortgage advisors could do a better job of serving investors and helping people become investors in real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the mortgage business for 22 years. I started in February of 2002 and have this is all I've known. Got into it right out of college and really enjoy it. Started with Castle and Cook in 2009. So I've been with Castle and Cook Mortgage for 15 years, which kind of makes me a dinosaur. As you know, people change jobs a lot. And I have found the perfect place to work where I can get things done, have a really great work environment, and a really great team backing me up in our corporate office as well as here in our Denver office. And as far as investors, I work with 35% of my clients are investors. One thing I really enjoy about that is they don't just buy one home every 7 years. They buy one home a year or one home every other year. So we get a lot of repeat and referral business from our real estate investors. It's a great way to help them build wealth. It's a great way for us to do more transactions. It's a great way to add value to their real estate portfolio. And then in turn, they refer us. Their friends see they've got 2, 3, 5, 7, 10 rental properties, and they say, hey, how'd you do that? You know what? You need to talk to my real estate agent, and you need to talk to my lender, Joe Massey, and then we'll do a lot of transactions for their friends as well. So it's been just an incredible way to build my business, and I enjoy it. I enjoy the math. I enjoy the coaching and the mentorship of a real estate or an aspiring real estate investor, whether they're buying their first house hack or their first investment property or even their first fix and flip. We see that a lot. So working with real estate investors is really fun, really enjoyable. Of course, I love primary residence buyers and second home buyers and trade up buyers, but real estate investing is something that is a lot of fun that I enjoy.
What about first time home buyers? You help a lot of first time home buyers, and if so, any particular strategies that you're recommending to first time home buyers, given your philosophy from a real estate investment strategy?
Yeah, so probably another 35% of our clients are first-time home buyers. And a big thing that we see here in Denver, and I know you know this, I know you've spoken about it on prior interviews, home prices are up, wages are not up nearly as fast, therefore affordability is down. So we really have a great niche in house hacking, which I'm sure you're familiar with. You know, buy your first property that has an ADU or a duplex or triplex or fourplex, live in it, rent out the other units, hold that property forever because you can do that with 3% down on a conventional loan or 3.5% down on an FHA loan. And so very high percentage of our clients take advantage of those house hacking opportunities and actually about 2 years ago, we wrote a book on house hacking. It's
What?
The Denver Guide to House Hacking, or maybe it's the House Hacking Guide to Denver. It's on Amazon. You can pick it up for like $6. I'll send you the link when we're done with the recording, and it's a great book, and it focuses on the Denver market, but those concepts work anywhere.
Does it start with Denver or house hacking?
Let me see. You'll probably have to cut this part
Well, well,
out.
well, let's do this, guys. We will put a link down below,
Yeah, we'll
and
find it.
to get it. And I really want to push people every chance you can to create creativity and help people get into homeownership younger and faster. You should. You and I were talking before the interview, but I co-founded a nonprofit called First Home IQ. You guys can go check it out. We'll have a link down below. Just because I believe that, well, I don't believe the data shows that the wealth gap in America is who owns and who rents.
Yeah.
The data is 2 years old, but in 2022, the average net worth of someone who rents is 10,400. The
Yep.
average net worth for someone who owns is it's over $400,000
387,000.
now. Well,
Yep.
yeah, but it's over that now because that's
Oh
two
yeah.
years old data, and 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 you got to help people do it. And we do have an affordability crisis. We do have a financial literacy crisis. What are you doing to lean in to families and help families help their kids, whether it's just through education inspiration, whether it's through advice, whether it's actually getting families to be mom and dad or a family down payment assistance program. What
Yeah.
what are you doing to proactively drive those conversations?
Yeah, so many things, but the first one I'll touch on, since you mentioned your nonprofit, is I have about half a dozen clients that are high school teachers, and I get invited once a year or every other year to their high schools to speak during their education courses at their high school to talk about credit scores, to talk about down payment, to talk about student loans, how to be prepared to buy your first home. And that is something I really enjoy. Whenever those come up, my clients will reach out to me. Hey, Joe, we got really great response last time you were here. Would you mind coming in and speaking to this education course? Or it's our Algebra 2 course and we're doing financial literacy for a week. Would you come in and speak to our class? I just really enjoy that. It's something that's a lot of fun to get to speak to young people and just talk about the basics, and it always amazes me, number one, how engaged and interested that they are, but number two, that there's just no education around it, and you and I know this from when we graduated from high school and college. It's like, okay, here's your degree. Good luck. There's no coaching. There's no training. There's no explaining credit scores or the banking system. So I've been really lucky to have those opportunities to speak to high schools and really welcome the opportunity to do that. So it's been a lot of fun. And then outside of that, I teach a lot of continuing education courses for real estate agents, but also just for the general public. House hacking as a really good example. I teach an hour-long course on that. How to buy your first investment property, how to be prepared to buy your first home, how to invest in condos and townhomes. So I teach a lot of courses that, are focused for real estate agents, but also focused for the general public on how to build wealth through real estate.
I love this. I love this. I'm gonna just show a couple slides because it's just so on point for anyone watching this. These are some slides from the First Home IQ Ambassador
I love this slide. Yep, we use this
presentation.
slide all the time. Yep.
Yeah. And by the way, every loan officer, you should have this slide as part of your just kind of go-to conversations to encourage people. In this particular context, I mean, this is the front line of the wealth gap, and and this is how it works in America. People start looking for jobs. Although I was a paper boy, I don't even know how old I was. It was before 16.
Yep.
But by 18, a lot of America is getting student loans. Everybody in America is getting targeted with credit cards at age 18. 21, we're entering adulthood. Some are graduating from college, whatever. And guys, this is what it is. Like 35 is the average age of buying a home right now. And I do believe that the mortgage industry can reverse these trends. Like we can be the first responders and really lean in by age 16, start saving, understand how your bank app works. By age 18, know how credit works. By age 21, like know how to house hack. I don't think I need to ask you if you agree with all this because I know even before you knew about First Home IQ, you're
Yep.
you're already doing this.
My initial reaction to that was that age 35 buying the first home. How can we move that to the left? And maybe I'm pointing to the right depending on the screen, but you want to move
How
that
can we move it
closer to
back?
age 21. You want to move it up, right? You want to buy that first home when you're 21, 22, 23, not when you're 35. You've missed out on a decade of wealth creation. So I think that's such a great mission. And you want to move that age sooner and sooner responsibly. You don't want people to get in over their head. You want to move it up sooner in a responsible manner. And I love that mission that you guys are on.
Yeah, so let's just go down that a little bit on how do you approach that with a family? And one of the things we recently did an interview with Tim Brahim, who's does a great job with database marketing, and
Mhm.
Tim shared like, hey, I there's never been more equity. There's never been a bigger challenge getting into home ownership. So like I would literally be marketing to my database and be doing educational events for families
Yeah.
around teaching families how you can help your kids. And if they don't have resources for down payment assistance, there's never been more down payment assistance programs in America. So like everybody can get a down payment assistance program if they want it. How are you approaching that? Like, what are some things that you're doing, whether it's how you're reaching out to your database, how you're having conversations? What is Joe Massey doing to drive this?
Yeah, what I do is I teach a lot of my education courses, as I mentioned, to real estate agents, but in every one of those, I point out to the real estate agent or to the general community that's at the class, I say, this might not make sense for you. House hacking, if you're, later in your career, you've got a spouse, you've got a couple kids, you're not going to buy a fourplex, live in one unit and rent out the other three. Like that doesn't make sense. But who do you know that this might benefit? Who do you
Like
know
that.
that has children that have graduated from college and had to move back into mom and dad's basement? And here's the thing, I had to do that. That's what I did after college. I moved back into my mom and dad's house and lived there for another 2 years before I was able to save up to buy a home. And fortunately, I had great parents that educated me and taught me all of that and how to buy my first home at the age of 24. But not everybody has that. And so I really focus on who do you know that we need to talk to that maybe has kids that live in their basement or kids that are getting ready to graduate from college and they don't want them moving back into the basement. How can we help those families? And you know what? Down payment assistance, sometimes the bank of mom and dad providing a 10, 20, 30, $50,000 gift can be a great way to help that young person buy that first home and then begin building real estate wealth long before age 35, hopefully.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go in just a minute to like your real estate investment playbook and how do you turn regular folks that don't have it into a
Mhm.
strategy. But one more question. Either have you done this, or if you were to do it, how would you do it if you were to send out an email to your database, or you would, let people know and you like, I want to talk about whether it's house hacking or helping more 20-year-olds and families get into homeownership. Any moves that you're doing or any moves that you recommend to do that? Just give me a list of a few.
Yeah, number one, the best piece we have is our house hacking book. So a lot of times I will meet with families that are maybe buying a property, or they've got children that are living at home, and I ask them, "Hey, do you have kids at home that maybe want to buy their first home?" And a very high percentage of people say yes, or in general conversation, people say, "Yeah, my kids just graduated from college. They want to buy their first home. They're not really sure what to do." And I just say, "Hey, can I have their address? I'm going to send them a copy of our book." I'll go in and send it straight from Amazon. And so they'll get it along with a little note from me that says, hey, here's information about how to buy your first home. It's actually not as difficult as you might think. You don't need 20% down. Give me a call. I'd love to chat with you. And then we keep, gosh, probably 50 of those books here in the office. And so when somebody's here at the office and we're having conversation about it, I just give them one of those and say, hey, here you go. Share this with your friends. So that's the number one thing I do is just share great free information. And then number two, just having conversations with people. And the biggest misconception is 20% down. I think it's still something like 77% of millennials believe that they need to have 20% down to buy a home. And so I talk about that all the time. You don't have to do that. $1,000, $5,000. 20,000. You don't have to have $150,000 to buy a home. So just dispelling that rumor and that myth is the biggest focus that I have.
So for everyone listening, I just went to Amazon and I typed in house hacking and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So by the way, some of you may not want to use Joe's book, although I recommend
That's
that you
fair.
buy his book and you use it, especially people that compete with you in Denver. But like, you just got a great idea. Like, you could just go buy a couple of these books on house
Yeah.
hacking. What a great conversation starter. Joe, I've been wanting to write a like house hacking. I wasn't thinking about book. I was more thinking of like a white paper.
Hmm.
And I kind of have started it, and I've actually done some interviews around it. Um, and I'm going to include this interview we're having in
Yeah.
that. But I was really creating a house hacking playbook for the first home IQ ambassadors. We've got
Hmm.
over 100 loan officer and realtors that actually are first home IQ ambassadors. So do I have your permission to take some of your ideas and integrate them into some of that content?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for, loan officers listening, I'll give you one tip real quick. So we wrote this house hacking book. It took us about 2 weeks. We did it all via interviews. So between myself and two of my business partners, we recorded the interviews. Then we had them transcribed. Then we went back through and edited all of the transcription, put it all together in a book, and it's on Amazon. And the profit we make 1 penny per book. So we didn't write it to try and make money off of book sales. We wrote it to drive transaction volume, because if you give somebody a business card, very high percentage that business card is going to go in the trash. If you give someone a book, that book never ever goes in the trash, because people don't throw away books. So loan officers looking for a way to increase your business, write a book, which you can do in like less than 2 weeks, or even if you're really slow, less than a month. Put that book on Amazon, set the price to the bare minimum, and give it away.
Who did you use to kind of package it and compile it? Did you use a company? Like who
Um,
printed it? Like, did you use any services or did you guys just figure it out?
so we just figured it out, but it's pretty neat. On Amazon, it's all print on demand. So you upload like a specialized type of
So
file.
you
It's
could
not
do a
exactly,
self-publishing book on Amazon. Like you
yep,
could do the whole, like you just need to write it and then there's a way to they'll
yep.
print it and distribute it.
Yep, you upload like an image of the spine and the front cover and the back cover. You upload a special file type. It's not a Microsoft Word doc, but basically Microsoft Word that breaks it out into each page with page numbers. And then when somebody orders it, again, Amazon is magic as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how they do it, but they print it, bind it, and ship it, and it's there within 48 hours. And so you don't have to buy 1,000 copies of the book that when somebody orders one, you got to package it and deal with all that. It's all just uploaded, and Amazon does it. I don't know how they do it.
So guys, big idea. First of all, if you are a mortgage professional and you're already doing this
Hmm.
and you have a book, and I've interviewed a lot of loan officers that have books.
Hmm.
But if you're doing that, put your comment down below. Actually, share a link to your book. Let's like as a community share what we're already doing. And then I can
Yeah,
tell you right now, I'm going to bring this back to the First Home IQ community. And I guarantee you there are people in that community that are already doing this. And I can assure you we're going to drive this strategy. Thank you, Joe, for that. That was huge.
yeah, of course.
So let's transition to your just how you are approaching it. Like before we run out of time, let's talk about how you kind of recruit and find people who are already real estate investors and you become their loan guy. But let's start with any place since we're on a football analogy.
Yeah.
Let's do a little playbook now and let's come up with some plays. What are some plays that you run to turn someone that is not a real estate investor, maybe an accidental landlord, someone that's got
Hmm.
a really low interest rate and they want to move
Hmm.
up. Maybe that's how you do it. But what are some plays that you run to turn regular day folks that aren't investing into real estate investors? What do you do?
Yeah. So a couple things I do. I have a pretty robust database of real estate agents, as well as clients, as well as people that have come to our continuing education courses. So another little tip, we won't go too deep into this. The house hacking book is actually the most recent book that we've written, but we've written 3 other books on investing in properties, mostly specific here to the Colorado market. But that's a really great one. So if we're sitting down with somebody we're going through helping them buy their trade up home. High probability that people will say, once we get through this, I'd really like to learn about real estate investing. Oh, you know what? Here's a copy of our real estate investing book. Let me invite you to our next real estate investing course that we have coming up next week or next month or whatever. We'd love to have you join us. So that's one way, is again, just by having conversations, giving them a copy of a different book. But then the next thing I do is I reach out to real estate agents. And I know that everybody on this call or every loan officer out there, they reach out to real estate agents and they have the same scripts, right? Hey, some of your deals you can't get done. I'd like to talk to you. Can I take you to coffee, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I have all of those same scripts, but mine's a little different. I reach out to a real estate agent and say, hey, Dave, it's Joe Massey over at Castle and Cook Mortgage. I've seen your information. You've probably heard my name. Maybe you haven't. Yes, I'm a lender. I know you hate these phone calls. I just wanted to let you know that I specialize in helping agents find real estate investors within their existing database. So if you have any people that have been thinking about buying real estate investment properties and you're not 100% sure how to talk to them, let me know. I'd be happy to do a 3-way phone call with them so that I can share with them our real estate investing book, share with them some of our continuing education courses, and help you get more transactions by turning that client into someone who buys every 7 years into somebody who buys once a year. Would that be useful for your business, Dave?
Dude, at a big picture, I do have a couple. And when you hear a script like that, guys, first of all, put this on pause, go back and listen to it, and then make it yours. Like, I loved your opening. I specialize in helping you find real estate investors in your database. And then I would go and I would just make it like and help and inspire them and show them so that they buy every year or
Mm-hmm.
buy twice as much real estate. Would that be interesting to you? You may or may not know this, but like at Trust Engine, we specialize in identifying people that are buying and selling real estate in a database.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we own Sales Boomerang, which has triggers, which is great. The only problem with those is they're like mostly refi alerts. And
Yep.
two, they're mostly like, oh, someone's running a credit report. Oh, someone already listed their home.
You're
And
late to the game sometimes.
yeah, you're late to the game. So we specialize in like identifying move-up buyers, identifying first-time home buyers, move-down buyers, people that would make good. They're ready to do a real estate transaction. So,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, if you guys did not know that, you can go to trustengine.com, get a demo. Now, it is an enterprise-only solution that needs, we need 35, it needs to be an enterprise relationship, but just know that we do that at Trust Engine. Um, Dude, this is gold. I love your book ideas.
Thanks.
Um, so two things. One, I want to make sure everyone who's listening to this know that Joe is a regular contributor on the weekly roadmap with Brian Hale. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I've heard from Brian that you're going to be creating some custom content and training that will be available in the weekly roadmap. So make sure you guys
Yep.
check it out. Weeklyroadmap.com. I'm a big fan of that. I think I'm actually going to be the guest this coming Friday, where we're going
Oh,
to talk
cool.
about lead conversion and just kind of like break down what are the best practices of lead conversion. So check out Brian's platform. Um, so what do you do? I think I've got your basic play. Use the
Mm-hmm.
book, go to Realtors. Is there anything that you do? Like, let's just say you're talking to a borrower.
Mm-hmm.
They came from a number of sources. They're not a real estate investor, and you
Mm-hmm.
just have a play that you run that gets that conversation going and where you're really like, what's your real estate play? Like maybe you have some questions that start the conversation. Like, what is your play with just a borrower to have the real estate investment conversation?
Yeah. So I really focus on finding out their goals. And this is something that I learned day one in the mortgage business. Find out their goals. They have stopped everything in their life to talk to me for the next 30 minutes or the next 60 minutes. It's my job to talk about more than interest rate. It's my job to talk about more than points. It's my job to talk about why are they talking to me, because I'm the barrier standing between them and the keys, right? But they have some sort of goals that makes it worthwhile for them to go through the barrier of getting a loan. And I want to find out what's the reason that they want to buy a house. Now, sometimes it's as simple as I want a roof over my head, I want a backyard for my kids. Cool. Talk to me about 5 years down the road. If you had a magic wand, Mr. Client, what would it look like for you? Do you want to build equity in this home? Do you want to buy another property? Do you want to own a portfolio of rental properties? And so you start planting some of those ideas. And then another question I'll ask, especially if I see somebody that has a lot of equity, I might say, you know, you have a lot of equity, and I'm not here to tell you what to do, but can I ask you a question? If your grandparents would have had just one rental property that was paid off and generating $2,000 a month of free and clear cash flow, would that have made an impact in their retirement lifestyle? And they always say the same thing. Yes, it would have. Okay, cool. You're about 25 years away from retirement. Should we talk about you getting just one rental property, having it paid off within 25 years, and will that make a positive impact in your retirement?
Gold. That was beautiful. Yeah, the power of questions, everybody. And
Hmm.
I want to push everybody to ask more questions beyond the transaction. Like every
Yeah,
loan officer asks, well, how long are you going to be in the home? So they can kind of like points, no
points
points,
and fees.
5 years, like have the transaction conversation because think about how powerful that question was. And by the way, I'm going to share a couple questions that I recommend to loan officers, and I want you to throw a few more questions, and let's just call it to expand the vision. So I always
Yeah.
love the question of how old do you want to be when you're debt free and your home's paid off,
Hmm.
or you've achieved financial freedom. And what I always find, or at least when I was an operator, and what I hear from loan officers now, is that they want to be one age, and based off the loan that we're getting, they're going to be another age. And it's
Yeah.
usually about a 10-year gap. Like we have a
Yep.
gap between what they want and what they have. And now we can start having a conversation around how do we fill that gap and start having I call it financial freedom lending, start having the
Hmm.
financial freedom lending conversation, which by the way, what Joe just shared is a financial freedom lending question. Like and I love the way you like, would your grandparents have had a better retirement? I love the way you did that. Another one, and I would love to hear how you do it, is like every financial planner asks a family who has kids, what's your plan for education? Are you going to start saving for college? But
Hmm.
nobody asks about, hey, what's your plan for home ownership for your kids? Like,
Yeah.
no one asks that. So, what are some other Joe Massey, just call it expand the vision beyond the transaction? What are some other questions that you ask?
So that's another great one that you pointed out about children and education costs. So, hey, Dave, I see you're buying a new property. From our conversation over the phone, you've got a couple of young children, one age 3, one age 4. Obviously, I'm here to help you buy this new property, but a big part of my business is making sure that you are set up for financial success for the long term. Have you thought about buying an investment property, one for each child, putting renters in there, letting those properties appreciate, selling one or two of those properties when your children turn 18 and using that to fund their college education? Is that something you've ever considered? Is it relevant for us to talk about it? Or do you just want me to be quiet and help you get a new mortgage? 100% of the time, people's eyes widen up and they're like, no, we don't want you to be quiet. Tell us more. Right. And so you just set it up as, is this something we should talk about? Or do you want me to keep my big mouth shut? And they're always open to that conversation.
Dude, Joe, you are a master. I love the way you frame that and think about all the different ways you could go with that. So one, we could buy those investment properties and sell them to fund college. You could also refund them or refi them. They'll be
Yep.
cash flow positive and,
Yep.
and do that. It could also, I hear a lot of top producers that run strategies like this that also you buy the house now for your kids so that you're locking in the price. Like
Yeah.
affordability is probably not going to get better, and I don't care whether they have high school age kids 5 years from now, whether they have grade school kids 10 years from now. Uh, Housing's not going to get less affordable. So I
Right.
think every family should start thinking about what is your real estate plan for your kids.
Yep.
All right. All right. What are any other moves? Any other, not moves, plays? Any other plays that
Yeah.
you want to share? And then we'll go into wrap up mode.
So the other one that I do is, and this is basic, but I'm sure everybody knows this, but maybe not. I do what are called alphabet calls. So beginning the first week of January, I call everybody in my database whose last name ends with A. Then in the second week, last name ends with B. Third week, C, all the way to the Z's. By the time you get to the end of June, you've called everybody in your database. Start over July 1st, A through Z. You talk to everybody twice a year. Those conversations are really simple. Hey, Dave, it's Joe Massey over at Castle and Cook Mortgage. I just wanted to check in, make sure that your home is still serving your needs. I see you have a ton of equity. Do we need to look at consolidate any debt? Do we need to look at taking some cash out to buy investment properties? Do we need to make any changes to positively impact your financial future? If you want to chat about it, give me a call back, 303-809-7769. Very simple, nothing fancy. Do it all day long.
You could tell Joe's never done that before. Like that it's kind of like the first time you've done that script. I
Yeah.
love it. I love any time, again, my kind of closing push to everybody is the mortgage professionals that go from being loan officers to data-driven trusted advisors, who are, the only not an edit. Like I love that, just check in. There's no specific
Mhm.
purpose, but we have what we call the Trust Engine app for loan officers. Um, well, I'm not going to demo it right now, but literally it will tell you when someone is in that move up. They're
Mhm.
eligible, they have a high propensity score, and where you're I call it going on the offense. It's
Mhm.
don't be play defense, play on the offense, and start reaching out to people and creating goals for them
Yeah.
and creating strategies to achieve those goals. So cool, man. Well, remind everybody how to get your book one more time and any closing thoughts that you have. And
Yeah,
anything
we'll
else you
put
want to
the
promote or talk about.
Oh yeah, no problem. We'll put the link down below to the Amazon book. Again, I didn't come prepared. I didn't know what we were going to talk about, so sorry I don't have that in the chat for you. But yeah, we'll put that in the notes below. And if I can do anything to help, I am a big believer of having friends in the business. So if you're a loan officer and you're watching this, feel free to call me. I believe in all of us being better to support one another, making the lending industry better, supporting home ownership, making it better for consumers to buy homes. So if you're a loan officer and you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get these ideas from Joe, but he's a competitor, I can't talk to him. Some of my best friends are my direct competitors, and I love chatting with them. We share ideas all the time. So please feel free to reach out to me. My email is real simple, jmassey@castlecookmortgage.com. You can call me 303-809-7769. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's at jmassey.lending. I love talking about this stuff. And Dave, thank you so much for having me on. Just really appreciate being able to talk with you, talk with your audience, and share good information to hopefully make our industry a better place to work.
Love it. Well, I really appreciate everybody that tuned into this. Make sure you know about the trustengine.com/10x page, where I am always updating this with what are the best interviews that I've done to optimize purchases, optimize refis. If you're not already a mortgage coach, you can sign up to be a mortgage coach here. And this training page even has daily training calls. Like if you wanted to learn how to use Mortgage Coach to show house hacking strategies, we can show you how to do that. Like Mortgage Coach has a really cool, like this is where's one of the rent versus owns. I'll show it really quick here on one of my slides. Right here, this is a screenshot. Actually, this was a loan officer I interviewed who was in Denver. It was a Denver loan officer about a year ago, and he showed the it was a first time buyer that was going to rent out 2 bedrooms. They had talked to one loan officer who had done a pre-qual, told them what they qualified for, but they're like, yeah, I'm going to wait till next year. And then they talked to a mortgage coach that showed, hey, this is what renting looks like. This is what home ownership looks like with appreciation over 5 years. And then if you took that, I think it was 625 per bedroom. If you took that
Mhm.
625 and saved it, this is what your net worth could look like. And boom, that buyer was now prepared. I need to buy now. And they were even coached up to win in multiple offer situations because at the time there were multiple offer situations. So you really need to optimize the confidence, the clarity, and get people into escrow. So, anyways, hope
Yep.
everybody got value. Also, make sure you check out firsthomeIQ.com. There's a little free quiz that you can take. Most people in the mortgage industry do really well on it. Most people who don't own homes don't do so well, and they actually learn something in the process. So check it out. Joe, I can't wait till the next conversation and can't wait to continue to create impact together.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Dave. Really appreciate it and really enjoyed the conversation. Look forward to chatting again in the future.
All right. Take care, everybody. This is a wrap.